and sex. That's what this case is about. It didn't matter what obstacles she had to remove to get what she wanted. And if it was a person, it didn't matter either. All I want is money, power, and I think I money, power. All I want is money, power, and I think I
Vallow not guilty or guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder of Joshua Jackson Vallow and grand theft by deception? Answer, guilty. Is Lori Noreen Vallow not guilty or guilty of first-degree murder of Joshua Jackson Vallow? Answer, guilty. Is Lori Noreen Vallow not guilty or guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder of Tammy Daybell? Answer, guilty. Is Lori Noreen Vallow not guilty or guilty of grand theft? Answer, guilty. Dated this 12th day of May, 2023, signed by the presiding officer.
They got the bitch.
Hello, everybody. Can y'all hear me? We were really late last night and learned a lot from DJ Norman and Kresha, and everybody has about wore out from all of the Mormons going on with the bad news, and it's really sad that we say it like that because it's not funny that it keeps happening. But I wanted to cover a few things and talk to y'all about a few things. And we won't be very long tonight. We were pretty long last night, and we're going to go on tomorrow for the whenever they have the hearing for Jody and Ruby. And even though we won't be able to see it, we're going to try to get information about it and talk about it and cover some other things. And so I hope you'll tune in with us, and that'll be tomorrow. I think it's at 11 Mountain Time, so it'll be 12 Central Time. But last night we had talked quite a bit about Tim Ballard and how the Mormon Church had condemned him for, I don't remember exactly the word that they used against him, but they had made some comments that were unfavorable towards Tim Ballard. And a lot of people think a lot of him, and a lot of people don't. But of course, it took a lot of LDS think a lot of him. And so for the LDS Church to come out and say that, it was kind of a bold move. And so I found an article, and I'm going to bring it up, that where Tim Ballard actually responds to the Mormon Church. And so I'm going to bring that up if y'all. Somebody's going to have to throw the book at somebody here, y'all. I can't. After all, that's who I am, you know. Let's see. So I'm going to. Tim Ballard responds to the Mormon Church. So I'm going to hide myself so we have more room for that. And let's go back up here to oh man, I'm on the wrong thing here. Hang on, y'all. This is from Fox 13, Salt Lake City. And it says, Tim Ballard responds to the condemnation from his own church. So that was the word I was looking for, condemnation. Oh, heck, what have I done now? Hang on, y'all. Let me get rid of that thing. Y'all can't see nothing. Hey, we can't see nothing. Hang on. Hang on. All right, now we're back. I looked over at my other monitor and somehow it had stopped. I thought, oh, y'all will be on me. It says, Tim Ballard responds to the condemnation from his own church. Salt Lake City. Tim Ballard, the founder of Operation Underground Railroad, OUR, is breaking his silence after being condemned by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. While on a tour in Boston, Ballard addressed a crowd of supporters and encouraged them to send his recorded statements to the media. It's not true. Nothing you hear is true, Ballard begins in the video. At times he was passionate, shouting into the camera. At times he lowered his voice and teared up. This is breaking down my family like you can't believe, Tim Ballard said. So, hang on, y'all. So let's see. I'm going to play this video, but there may be a commercial, so.
Found your dream house, but not your dream rate? Make your purchase with a home loan from Cypress Credit Union. Refinance within 12 months if rates drop, and we'll take care of the refinancing fees.
Can you imagine? By the way, if anybody wants to share this with any news outlet, do it. Share it.
Thanks so much for joining us tonight for Fox 13 News at 9. I'm Amy Nay. And we begin tonight with news of Tim Ballard. He's the founder of Operation Underground Railroad, now breaking his silence after being condemned by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We're here downtown, just across from the church office buildings. Ballard says he believes a statement issued by the church didn't actually come from the church, calling his behavior morally unacceptable. Fox 13 News investigative reporter Adam Herbetz is in studio with more on tonight's update.
Well, Amy, this video was sent to us by someone touring with Tim Ballard this weekend in Boston. Watch and listen for yourself as he gives a speech about his relationship with a powerful LDS leader who the church says felt betrayed by Ballard's actions.
This is breaking up my family like you can't believe.
At times, he was passionate, shouting at the camera. At times, he lowered his voice and teared up.
My wife.
Tim Ballard, the founder of Operation Underground Railroad, publicly defending himself for the first time from his own church.
I'm the bad guy in the story. I'm the bad guy.
On Friday, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints released a statement to Fox 13 and other media, calling Tim Ballard's behavior morally unacceptable. The statement was in response to documents obtained by Vice News, detailing a criminal investigation into Tim Ballard and his nonprofit. The church says Tim Ballard betrayed his friendship with M. Russell Ballard, acting president of the Quorum of the 12.
I have never used Elder Ballard's name, ever. I've never traded on his name to ask for anything. I've never had any business dealings with him. He's like a grandfather to me.
He says President Ballard went on this same tour with him in Boston. They share the same last name, but they're not related.
I don't believe the church did this. I truly don't. Can you imagine that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints would publicly condemn one of its members?
Apparently, the answer is yeah, they would. The church's statement was sent by Doug Anderson from his official church email address. According to his LinkedIn profile, Anderson has been the director of media relations for the church for nearly 15 years.
I pray to God the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints wasn't part of this. I don't know yet. I don't know.
Ballard also questions the timing. Ever since Mitt Romney announced he would be giving up his seat on the U.S. Senate, rumors have been circulating about a Ballard run for Congress.
It was leaked to the press that I was going to run for U.S. Senate.
The rumors started with a tweet from Utah Attorney General Sean Reyes saying he would be endorsing a patriot warrior for the seat. It's no secret, the two are close friends and have promoted OUR together.
My stake president knew nothing about it. My bishop knew nothing about it. If the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints wants to condemn me publicly before the world, in the moment that I'm trending, and please don't take this the wrong way, but The Sound of Freedom is the #1 movie in Latin America. It's the #1 movie.
If you'd like to see the full 10-minute, 10-second video of Tim Ballard addressing the church's condemnation, it is on the front page of our website, fox13now.com. Reporting in studio, Adam Herbetz, Fox 13 News, Utah.
So Tim is let's see. So Tim he don't understand. He can't believe that the church would say something bad about him or do one of their members right. So I don't know what he did. It looked like he must have done something. Or this wouldn't have happened. I'm not sure, but I don't think it's just because he used Elder Ballard's name. Do I think it's because Elder Ballard was involved in it? No, I think that something else is going to come out about Tim Ballard that the church is backing away from. We just don't know what it is yet. But so that's what Tim had to say. Now let's see. Do y'all want to see the 10-minute video if it's on that page, or do we just need to move on? I guess we could just move on to the other item that I wanted to talk about. The other item is who wants to have some Lori Vallow Daybell drama? Who wants to hear about some tea? Well, I'm going to share with you Lori's new lawyer. So hang on, and first I'm going to show you the a document. Let's see. I don't want to show you that. That's how I. Goodness, I have too many things open. Surely. Change of assigned attorney. So, let me get back to the. Hang on, y'all. I got to remove myself so I'll have enough room to show y'all something. Yeah. I'm sure glad y'all are being patient, and I hope that y'all's day is going well and not every bit of it is dragging like the stuff I'm doing to you. See, hi. So, that's not right. I drew the wrong thing up. Shoot, that wasn't right. Here it is. So, let me get a look at this. Let's go away with that one. Okay, so this, now I can get rid of that. This is a electronically filed document that was filed September 6, 2023. And it's from the state of Idaho, Office of the State Appellate Public Defender, defending zealously, advancing fairness, and advocating for integrity. Well, that's a lot of talk, isn't it? Well, this is the name of the court clerk, Melanie Gagpain. And it's about change of attorney. And it says the state appellate public defender is the attorney of record in the case of State versus Vallow, docket number 91091-2023, pursuant to a contact of this, has been reassigned to Ferguson Durham, PLLC, as appointed counsel. Please send any notices to Craig Durham, Ferguson Durham, Boise, Idaho. So it looks like Lori's got her a new blue-eyed baby boy for a lawyer. And so I'm going to now, let's see, I'm going to stop sharing that. I don't know what I'm sharing now. And then I'm going to share the blue-eyed baby boy. Cheers. Oof. I hope y'all can see him. It says our team. It's Ferguson and Durham, and he's Durham and she's Ferguson. Deborah Ferguson is the other person in that law firm. See if we can get a bit. Can y'all see him? A little better picture of him. Says they have 50 years of litigation practice and nationally recognized success. The partners of Ferguson Durham serve their clients with wealth and experience at a local, state, and federal level. So he's kind of good looking. I don't know. Does he look like a Mormon to you? I think he is. And he's probably blue-eyed baby too. So let me go and see if there's some more information about him, maybe how he went to, let's see. Here he is. Let's see. Share this tab instead. Okay, so Craig H. Durham is a license to practice in the state and federal courts of Idaho, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, and the Supreme Court of the United States. Mr. Durham's practice focuses on civil rights, litigation, and all phases of criminal defense, including trial, appeals, post-conviction, parole, and habeas corpus matters. Mr. Durham's particular areas of focus include white-collar criminal defense and civil rights cases involving excessive force or unlawful searches and seizures. Previously, Mr. Durham was a staff attorney at the United States District Court in Boise for 10 years, where he worked closely with federal judges in death penalty and prisoner civil rights cases. He has also been a trial and appellate public defender for many years. Mr. Durham graduated from the University of Kansas School of Law in 1996. He is a member of the National Association for Criminal Defense Lawyers of Idaho Association for Criminal Defense Lawyers. Well, if he graduated in 1996, I think this picture right here is an old picture. So we still don't know what he's going to look like. But this is her new lawyer, and this is in Idaho. This is not the one for Arizona, so we don't know about that yet. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to remember. I have a schedule for what I wanted to talk about a little bit. Also, I wanted to, well, let me get back. Hold on, y'all. I'm going to stop sharing that. And it's like I have to tell y'all what I'm doing because I don't know. So I was listening to another true crime. Well, it was called the True Crime Squad. And if you haven't seen them before, you should look them up. They're called the True Crime Squad, and it's two sisters, and they actually live in the Rexburg area. And they were raised Mormons, but they're not active Mormons at this time, but they are very good, and they give a local flavor to the tales about Idaho. Anyways, they turned me on to this story that was on Idaho News, and the reason why it was interesting to them, well, as for us, is because Judge Boyce was involved, and we all kind of got attached to Judge Boyce, and we were really at times we wanted to strangle him, and then at times we were going, yay, go Judge Boyce. But anyway, so I'm going to share with y'all a story from East Idaho News in which Judge Boyce was the judge. And I'm going to read y'all that story. So hang on. I have way too much stuff open. Y'all don't want to know about all the stuff that I have open. Okay. So, this man's name is Stanley Besoy. And Stanley Besoy got in some bad trouble. And I'm going to read y'all the trouble that he got into. It says, Rigby man given probation after inappropriately touching girls as she slept. I should have saved the title to last. Rigby, a 62-year-old Rigby man, was given probation after pleading guilty to lewd conduct with a child. District Judge Stephen Boyce sentenced Stanley Besoy to 7 to 15 years in prison after pleading guilty to felony lewd conduct with a child under 16. Boyce then suspended the sentence, placing Bistoy on a term of 6 years of probation, where he will have to complete 100 hours of community service and spend 30 days in the local jail with credit for the 24 days he already served. So this man is only going to have to stay in jail 7 more days. He will also have to register as a sex offender. Bistoy initially pleaded guilty to a charge of felony lewd conduct with a child under 16 and pleaded not guilty to sexual battery of a child committed by the Lewd and Lascivious Act. I think I didn't say that word right. As part of the plea agreement, Bistoy agreed to continue with his guilty pleas for the lewd conduct charge if the prosecution agreed to recommend probation. Sentencing. The case against Bistoy began May 8th, 2022, when a deputy with the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office was called to a home after receiving a report that Bistoy had sexually assaulted a minor. He admitted to the deputies that between January 2020 and March 2021, he would touch the victim inappropriately while she was asleep, according to court documents. At this time, the victim was 15 to 16 years old. He told the deputies that it happened several times and the girl was never awake and would wake up during this time. She told the deputy she remembered a couple of times she woke up and Bistoy would be touching her, but when she would ask him what he was doing, she would say she was sleep talking. During the sentencing, Boyce reviewed the pre-sentence investigation and comprehensive documents of information concerning the defendant and the offense that can help the judge decide on the sentence. Bistoy objected to many of the parts of the document, including that he denied asking the minor to lie naked and denied that anything happened in the minor's bedroom, denied cuddling with the minor, and that he is a deviant and continues his behavior, according to court documents. The teen then provided an impact statement telling the judge that she does not want to put her abuser in jail. Now, I'm just going to say this is a child who does not understand things, so she should not really be allowed to have an opinion. Growing up, you're always taught to tell the truth, no matter how bad or how hard it is to hear. Boy, that sounds familiar. The outcome would always be better if you told the truth, said the victim. It escalated very quickly, and before I knew it, I was watching Bistoy be put in the back of a police car, and that was one of the hardest things to this day that I've ever had to go through. That's pitiful. The victim continued by describing Bistoy as a calming person, someone she went to when she had a bad day. Oh my God, and she will again, y'all. When I had a bad day, he always knew what to do. That's called grooming. And he always knew what to say. That's called grooming. And when nobody else could, he was the one who always got me over that, said the victim. I don't want Bistoy to go to jail. I've lost a whole year with him. Oh my God, please help this child. I just want this to be over. I just want to be able to see him again. I can't believe Judge Boyce let this guy out. Jefferson County Prosecuting Attorney Chase Hendricks then argued for Bistoy to receive probation with an underlying sentence of a minimum of 7 years and maximum of 15 years in prison. There is probably a lot of mixed emotion on this situation like this, said Hendricks. We tried to curate a plea agreement that will respond to some of the considerations of equal measure. Bistoy's attorney, Stragan Lagus, argued that the same probation recommended with an underlying sentence. Stan is 62 years old. He is now working again full-time, and he has been for some time, said Lagus. He has a lot of different moving parts going in a positive direction for him. Bistoy then made a statement to the court saying he was sorry for what he did but he didn't say what he did. But he had a good support system that would help him in the future. First of all, I want the victim to know how sorry I am for this. I missed 15 months. I missed her whole senior year. And as she said, we were best friends. Oh my God, please don't let them get back together. I would live every day of my life being sorry for what I've done to her and to this family. I've got a good family behind me. I've got daughters in here, and my ex wife that probably has every reason there on the planet to see me put away for life. And she's here supporting me. Oh, he has really groomed the whole bunch. But so he said he confessed to the crime after being caught cheating on his wife. That doesn't matter. Whatever he did is wrong here. I made a mistake, Judge, and I thank God that I was able to stop it. That still doesn't make it right. It happened. But when my infidelity came to the surface with my wife, that's when I decided it was time to get everything off my chest, and I went to my bishop. Oh, my God. Boyce then explained his ruling before pronouncing this sentence, saying that this case is especially sad due to the destruction of the family because of Bristol's action. The characterization of what happened as a single event or as a mistake, I think, misrepresents the true facts here, which was a course of conduct, not just a single event, said Boyce. It's just really sad case. It really is. Some cases are sadder than others, and this is very sad. And your conduct led to the destruction of this family, and there's no one to blame for it but you. But they're gonna do it again, dummy. I can't believe what Boyce is gonna. Did you see anywhere in there that he can't be around this girl or that she can't be around him? No. He's gonna do it again. Pitiful. All right. Let's see what my other story that I wanted to talk to you about. I'm really mad at Judge Boyce now. I really am. But you know what? I heard so many people say this is what happens in Idaho. And I'm really worried about Ruby's kids too, because I hope they don't give those kids back to her. And they'll want to go back to her. Just like this kid here is like, I don't know whether this is his niece, granddaughter, or if she's not even related to him, but she's got a trauma bond to him. She has it's like those people who were the Stockholm syndrome about the people who were being held hostage and they formed a bond with their kidnappers. Sometimes people form a bond with a person who is like abusing him, because clearly all of this, he was my friend and I could turn to him, is a bunch of grooming. So I don't want to keep y'all up all night with that sad story, but this is what's going on there, people. All right. And let me see. I had one other thing I wanted to talk to y'all about. And don't forget, y'all, that tomorrow we're going to be back here about noon to talk about Ruby and them. And let's see. I guess the other thing, did y'all hear that? I'm guessing y'all did. I had found a video from this body language expert, and I think it was Dr. G. But at any rate, he had some videos of Ruby and Jody that were very interesting, and they were some videos I hadn't seen. These were like the connection videos, not the hey. Well, I'm so glad I just now see that. I'm glad to see that. So anyway, I've had a brain upset. Hang on a minute and I'll bring it back around and remember what I was going to tell y'all. Oh, about this like this it's a expert on body language and stuff, and he had these videos of these two, them talking their distortion talk and all that, and it's just crazy. I can't even believe anybody pays good money for that. And it's just very upsetting. And and also Krisha talked a little bit about it, but also I want to encourage you guys, if you have Netflix, to see this movie that's called Scout's Honor. And it's the guy that Lauren and John DeLynn, I think his name was Adam, and he was a whistleblower that brought attention to the Boy Scouts that were having so much child abuse. And so in this movie that's called Scout's Honor, he tells his story, but there's many, many more that tell their stories too. And they're not just Latter-day Saints, they're people from other religions, because this stuff happened everywhere. And there was just some horrific stories that were told by these young men. And I believe they said there were 80,000 victims. Now, I don't know what matter of years that is, but that is a lot of children that have been hurt. And the Boy Scouts, and I'm pretty sure they went bankrupt over all that. And that's when really the Latter-day Saints separated themselves from the Boy Scouts in an effort not to have to, and they tried to get out of paying a bunch of that money too, but they did make them pay a bunch of the money. And it's always so weird to me that organization will think that their reputation or how they look is so much important than the people's lives around them. It would be so simple just to fix it, but to fix it would be admitting to what happened in the past.
What's up?
Boop, boop, boom.
Am I in here? Oh, I don't have the right layout. Oh, crap. Oh, okay. I pulled up the trailer.
Hiya.
Hey, I've so missed the mark. I thought it said 8:45. And
I did it, and I changed it because I got confused. That was, so you're not wrong. I messed it up.
So
but
I'm bopping around.
But I did get it. I got a chance to tell little things I wanted to say. So
well, good. Hey, everybody. So I'm gonna play this trailer, right? I put it on earlier, but I went back to sleep, so I didn't finish watching it. It can put you to sleep if you're tired. Just know that.
Because they all talk real
low,
just like Adam did.
Yeah. But Tim Kosnoff is in here. I love him. Oh my God. He straight up was like, I don't care if I have to take the whole temple down. I was like, boom. Tell it like it is.
That's wonderful.
I hope he says it in this one. But anyways, let me mute us and then I'll play it.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
I can't stand the abuse and the destruction that is. I don't get it. And so I look like a bitch to my 7-year-old who's like, please, I want to go to the Boy Scouts. I'm like, no, hell to the no. You are not going. And
did you get to the part about the New Orleans ones? The New Orleans Scouts? Oh my God, Krisha. They had an actual sex thing going on where people from out of town, they would provide these young boys
trafficking. There you go.
Yes.
Oh,
I couldn't even, and that's just the ones they found out about.
That's just the ones that have come forward. And then there are some people who don't realize that they have even been abused till much later because your mind, your body, everything, you suppress it. You know, and
And I
you
was
don't ever
thinking,
go ahead.
kids don't even, sometimes kids are so young that they don't even know about sex, so they don't even know what's going on.
Jody, I
And
mean Jessie, she
yeah,
said, you know, like she was blamed for so many things, uh, all those things. I don't want to say because
yeah,
we skirt the
well,
line enough with
I
the
know that's right.
monetization, but all those grown up things, and she didn't even know girl anatomy could do that. You know, like it's such a projection. They astral projection, all right. There you go. It's scary. Yeah, it is scary.
And the thing about it is, these people have got to realize this is not just a sin. This is a crime. This is a crime.
It is the worst crime, and it's against children. I don't give a shit who it. If that's just it's so triggering.
Did you hear me read that story where Judge Boyce let
Caught the end of it.
Well, you'll have to go back and Judge Boyce let that guy off on probation, and he had been touching that girl for a period of time.
What?
And she was like, I don't want him to go to jail, just a trauma bond.
Oh
And
my,
it's going to happen again.
yeah. There's some of I've read this one story or heard this one story. I don't recall who it was, but she was kidnapped, and then she married him, and she stayed with him, and like that's just the way it is, you know.
I expect that's what'll happen to this girl.
It
The way
doesn't
she was
either
talking.
way. It's like it's socially acceptable. You cannot tell me now. There's the whole PDF file, we'll say, yeah, P word, that are attracted only to the children, right? And you can't. I don't think that you can fix that. I think that's just you're born that way, you know, like
Right. And how awful for Jesse to put that on somebody who
Jody.
isn't, I mean, yeah,
Like
Jody, I'm sorry. Yeah, Jody, to put that on people,
yeah,
to put that on somebody, especially a victim who's
especially a victim who's probably still a child, right?
right.
They don't even know what's good for them. You know what I'm saying? That is
Yes.
so freaky.
But
He is
I've been,
going if I mean, I caught it right at when you were talking about that part of it, you know, and I was like, "Boys, uh-oh, what happened?"
yes,
You know, so I didn't
the True Crime Lady Squad the other day said
Mm.
they had a story about Judge Boyce, and they
Wow.
said, we kind of all got, well, we like Judge Boyce, but then they told
Right.
how he left, and it's like, this happens all the time.
Tolerate
It
him.
happens. Yes. Yes.
The
This
other
happens.
day, Jason and I were watching again the Chad's pretrial proceedings or whatever, and it was Judge Edens, right? He was like, I wish Judge Edens would have had the case, you know,
Yes.
the case the rest of the way. And I was like, I know, right? You know, it's like he knows how to handle his courtroom. Uh, that's just he just goes in there. He's like blah 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 blah, you know. And I mean, that's all it is just having order in your courtroom. And that's something I think that Judge Boyce being such a new judge, and oh, my bonus son's phone. Anyways, they're
Oh.
not here, but it's like, anyways, it just is very telling, just like Rob Wood, he was a new prosecutor. And I mean, you go back to the earlier proceedings and you can tell very much so, how he asked questions, how he would just he just wasn't very sure of himself. And then it's got to be extra, extra, extra hard to tiptoe around your religious upbringing, your religious background, who instills in you all the time
Yeah.
that
And
we're
did
the
you
one true church, we're the one true church. And
did you see poor poor guy. I can't believe I'm saying this. I have empathy for Tim Ballard now, but
Kinda.
poor Tim Ballard he can't believe the church is doing him that way.
Because they're gonna do it. I'm like, yeah, we
John
understand.
DeLynn said, yeah, they will.
Uh,
They will
in a
turn
heart
on you.
and if you think about the like-minded behaviors, y'all, I know it sucks to do this, but it is what it is. And so when you see Lori, just when she's done with you, she's freaking done with you, you're trash. You're nothing. You don't exist. That is exactly what she was taught. Because that is what the church does. Boom. As soon as you veer off path, if you ask too many questions, this is church, not cult. I mean, not Chad and Lori's cult. This is church cult. This is church saying, oh, you're asking just too many damn questions that we can't answer. So we're going to shun you now. And off to outer darkness you go, bitch. You know, they're just like, and then everybody just turns their back and just thinks that the family member lost their way. All the while, the ex-Mormon on their way out the church or whatever is like, oh my God, please. They're throwing life rafts at their family members trying to get them out. So the church is always like, why can't they just leave us alone? I'm like, they're trying to save the rest of their folk.
Tim Ballard don't even believe it. He's like, they have sent an email to all the media to condemn him, and he's like, I don't believe it's the church.
Yeah, it is. Here
Yeah,
you go,
it is.
buddy.
Yeah.
And again, the whole thing about we don't believe in psychics and yada 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 yada, yet we depend on a prophet, seer, revelator,
that puts some stuff in a hat, like a rock in a hat.
and a living prophet. Like
So a rock
still,
in a
so what's
hat,
the damn difference?
you know, exactly.
What is it? It's like, and so that's why it's always made absolutely no sense. Whenever everybody was saying Denver snuffer, oh, Lori and Chad are like, they're following Denver snuffer. Da, 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 da. That blows my mind. I'm like, what? It's just like, I equate it to when there are people in the church who are pro Joseph Smith, but not pro Brigham Young.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay. Alrighty. Whatever.
Yeah, they'll
It's
pick
so
one prophet
confusing.
or another and decide that he wasn't really supposed to be in there.
But because that one's bad.
Yeah.
Well,
I didn't
we
like
don't
him.
include him.
He was the one that started that race thing, and I mean,
You're welcome.
exactly.
Cognitive dissonance. Rhonda's laughing at you. I'm laughing with you. We are laughing with you.
Robbie's upset too.
Oh man, it's he knows. Robbie knows. He's been chomping at this since kind of like DJ Norman. I saw Robbie and all the chat rooms and everything. And when the story broke about Lori and Chad, so he's always just like trying to get people to see, and it is frustrating. It is an uphill battle, but you can't change. You can't make somebody change. You just have to plant the seed.
Right. And even whenever, people said, well, and I'm just going to use Judge Boyce as an example. They said Judge Boyce does not practice in Mormonism anymore. He hasn't for years. Okay. I don't care if he doesn't go to church. He still has all that childhood indoctrination living in him.
Yes.
That part
He's
about
in that community. He is in that 28,000
people who believe that that's a sin and not a crime, for God's sakes.
You can tell when people go like Larry criticized Judge Boyce publicly. He's very offended by that. Like Lori Hellis challenging him. He does not like that. It's the same like-minded behavior. I don't care how you hash it. In, out, I don't care. You're right. He has that indoctrination. He don't know any different outside of that community. It's very scary. It's like the same people who murdered my family are the same people delivering justice. It just think about that.
Yeah.
It's very offensive. I mean, I can't help how I feel. It's a eye opener for me. It's just like they don't understand. How can they possibly carry out the justice? But then it's supposed to be amongst your peers. I don't want it to be amongst their peers. I want it in a North Carolina over there, wherever Murdahl. If they could do it, because I just knew he was going to get out of that. But then here we go with this other shit with Murdahl. That girl better go hide. Shame
Well,
on her.
I can't. We haven't got any. I told about her, Lori's new lawyer, her new blonde-headed, blue-eyed baby, and
Oh, really?
we,
Oh, I saw it, but I don't know what they look
yeah,
like.
he was blonde-haired and blue-eyed, and, yeah, like
Thank
most
you,
of the people.
Lifetime. Thank you, Lifetime movie. I think that's where it came from, right? Yeah, that's where that
Oh,
whole
okay.
idea came from, right? I don't remember the Lifetime movie because I was so triggered by it. I couldn't really watch it. I just kind of listened to it, would look every now and then, and I was just cleaning, just doing my little nervous cleaning. It was so weird. Weird. Lifetime shouldn't be able to do stuff like that.
Oh, I know it. And the same thing with Lori writing a book and telling everybody she's writing a book.
When?
And expecting Judge Boyce to know she's writing a book. And
What?
by saying he picks on her because she's writing a book. Well, he
Is
probably
she?
don't.
Oh, Lori Hellis. I was
Oh,
like, Lori, I'm about to go chicken choke her ass.
no, she can't write nothing.
Right.
She
Well,
would
she
want, but
can.
she would get
She can.
somebody else to write it for her.
Well, she's got a lot of opportunistic people around her.
God bless.
It's a very real scary thing. Son of Sam Law. I mean, it should just be implemented in everyone.
Well, isn't that what Murdoch was trying to do? Is help somebody write something or make a movie or something?
I have no idea.
I
don't
think
know.
that's what he got in trouble for, was talking to somebody about something like that on the
Murdahl?
phone.
Murdahl?
Yes. I could be
thought-
wrong. I wasn't half-ass paying attention. So
I think he's going to have a retrial because of the court reporter or whatever, court clerk. I don't know the proper label. She wrote a book and she had all kinds of things in there about the jurors and yada, yada, yada. And you can't do shit like that.
well, maybe that's where I got it mixed up.
You can't, you're not supposed to do things like that.
Well, you're not supposed to do things like
it.
that. If you want to do it, you should at least wait a while.
I mean, just let the dust settle. Let the victims' bodies, decompose a little longer. I would like to at least be able to given, Tylee and JJ proper burials before anything. That'd be great. It's like it's torture. It's torture. It's like, what the fuck did we do to you? Why don't you like us? Why, I've just never, at first I didn't even think it was an issue. Because in my mind, Tylee and JJ aren't in their bodies, so it's like, I just did not get to that yet. When I realized that, no, we have not given them proper burials, I was like, oh my God. Yeah, that's a little upset. That's very upsetting. And all these things, I mean, it's adjudicated, what do you need from there? You can't even tell us how they really die. You don't even know how Tylee was murdered. I mean, some signs and from what the evidence shows, but you don't even know what day these kids died on. How? What? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm very offended and by that. And I tolerate Judge Boyce. Everybody was like, oh, right. After Lori was sentenced, and I'm like, okay, attaboy, thanks for doing your job. You got to say your victim impact statement there. Thank you.
Right.
It was tasteful. Yeah. But I mean, thank you for doing your job that you were appointed to. Hope you win the next election. That's all it is. So in a way, it's like I never was involved in any of these things. I hated civics. I did. My teacher, he put me next to his desk because I would act an ass. I just was not. And he was, stern. I appreciate that now.
Do you see DJ Norman's comment up there?
Not yet.
Well, it says, I'm going to put it up here.
Lynn Packer just, wow. I knew. I was like, oh my God, hell.
You want to go check it?
Yes, I do. I'll be right back.
Okay, well, I'll sit here and talk to them while you go hunt.
Thank you. I like how this works.
So, I knew something was the matter with Tim Ballard, and he is very frightened that he's going to be excommunicated too, I bet. And
oh yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, he looks scared because he really believes that shit.
Yes, he does. Because he was told that shit by whom? His prophet.
Yes,
these
and
people,
his mama and daddy and
that's his damn grandpa. Come on, can we all just face the elephant in the room?
He keeps going. No relations, no relations.
I'm like,
damn, everybody named Ballard who is a Mormon is related.
Right.
There's the pioneers came across the damn.
Tell it, girl. Sing it.
Them
Everyone in the
pioneers.
back. I will look at this. Please look into Steve Gatorwolf Ketcher. I believe he was also a victim of BSA, Boy Scouts of America, and Mormon Church as well as my brother.
Write it down.
These boys were not counted, nor were they believed. I believe that. Unfortunately, that's the trend here. Is to not believe victims and forgive the perp. Good for thee, but not for me. I finally got it right.
Yes.
Thank you.
I wrote that down.
Sis.
I
Thank
wrote
you,
that down
sis.
to look it up.
We will look that up. Okay, let me hide us.
Okay.
We're going to hide. We're just gonna kind of check into it. He released it an hour ago. Thank you, DJ. Please support this. Let me let me grab the link real quick too. Let me push play and shut up.
I'm Lynn Packer with Operation Underground Railroad Report 31 in a series. This episode, Tim Ballard under attack, the sexual misconduct accusations against him. The smash hit movie Sound of Freedom exalts Tim Ballard as a hero, an inspired man of God, a family man, and a dedicated husband. But behind the scenes, Ballard has been fighting a battle that was kept out of public view. Until now, sexual misconduct allegations against him were kept secret.
Ooh.
Also kept secret for months, Ballard's expulsion from Operation Underground Railroad, the child sex slave rescue organization he founded and headed as president and CEO. Even before the movie was released to theaters on July 4th, OUR's board of directors secretly gave Ballard the axe, forcing his resignation.
And he's the founder.
Ballard's ouster was not disclosed until Vice World News broke the story on July 13th, months after the fact.
They discredited
a person
Vice.
Or persons hiding behind anonymity.
I'm just saying they did discredit Vice. They tried to. That's what happens. That's a pattern that you will see over and over and over again is the character assassination. It goes all the way, it stems all the way back from Joseph Smith, the founding prophet of the Mormon Church. If you would go look at the playlist on the Ex-Mormon Foundation.org YouTube channel, there's a playlist called Lying for the Lord. There's 10 videos from a former CES director. That's the Church Education System director, Ken Clark. It's boring. I don't find it boring, but some people do. So, but I mean, they just talk about all the lying for the Lord and omission and like what we've seen play out. It's the same thing over and over and over again. It's toxic. It's scary.
They leaked the ouster story to Vice. Vice's scoop was headlined, Tim Ballard has stepped away from Operation Underground Railroad, org says. The article said, an OUR spokesman said founder Tim Ballard has recently stepped away from Operation Underground Railroad prior to launch of the film Sound of Freedom.
I'll
OUR
answer
never
that in a
issued
minute,
a press
Allison.
release. It only fessed up when pressed by Vice reporters. But why was he forced out?
Yeah.
Vice did not
Mhm.
report why Ballard had been ousted. Less than a week later, a bit more detail emerged, but not the nature of the complaints. The headline, Tim Ballard left Operation Underground Railroad after
Vice.
investigation into claims made by employees. The story said, an anonymous letter sent to employees of and donors to the anti-trafficking group Operation Underground Railroad asserts that founder Tim Ballard left the organization recently after an internal investigation
Which,
into claims made against him by multiple employees.
okay, so right there, y'all remember, I remember seeing this, but I'm pretty sure I shared it here, where there was a, what do you call it? A grand jury, a secret grand jury meeting or whatever. And Lynn Packer reported on this back when it happened, that they had this secret grand jury, right? They meet in secret. And then the church like wrote a letter or something, and then boom, all the charges went away. The investigation went away. It's weird, ain't it? Just pin that and know that they made the investigation go away into Tim Ballard. And now look what they're doing to Tim Ballard. It's self-serving, trust me. It's not because he has immoral behavior. They're one to talk, aren't they? Speaking of morals and immorals, just throwing that in there.
Something which OUR does not dispute. But what claims? I still did not report what the purported multiple employees claimed or alleged. Neither would a spokesman for Operation Underground Railroad or Tim Ballard himself. OUR had a chance to say why. Ballard's replacement, Matt Osborne, held a live Q&A and was asked, why is Ballard gone? I'll play that clip in a second.
All right.
But the next day, Rolling Stone reported, anti-trafficking group that inspired Sound of Freedom dodges questions about why founder left.
Essentially, it's can Matt comment on Tim Ballard's exit from OUR? Look, I'll just say clearly and openly, we're focused on the future. We're not focused on the past. We will always be grateful for the founding of Operation Underground Railroad. And so again, that is on how we answer. We wish Tim well, but we are focused on the future.
Here's what Vice reported about the anonymous letter.
I love hearing that,
The letter
Jax.
claims that an OUR employee who accompanied Ballard on an undercover operation abroad filed a complaint against him with OUR's Human Resources Department after the trip, and that a follow-up investigation culminated in his resignation. Alleging what? Here's what Vice knew from the letter but did not report.
Sounds like he's kind of
Neither has
dogging
any
Vice.
news outlet until now. The anonymous letter said what was alleged. Several weeks ago, an OUR employee who accompanied Tim on an undercover operation filed a sexual harassment complaint against him with OUR's HR department.
That's going to sting a little bit.
That's what it was about. Went on to say, it was ultimately revealed through disturbingly specific and parallel accounts that Tim has been deceitfully and extensively grooming and manipulating multiple women for the past.
So there you go. The apple it never falls far from the tree. Do you see how this works? And this is Jody, church, Jody, victims, Tim, church, Tim, victims. It's a cycle. Anyways.
Past 2 to 3 years with the ultimate intent of coercing them to participate in sexual acts with him. How well are the letter's claims documented? Not at all. No substantiation. The letter does not name names, offers no detail, no proof. Some or all of the accusations could be true,
Wait, is he exonerating Tim now or what?
motivated by sincere concern.
Which is
Some
fine if
or
it's the
all of the
truth.
accusations could be false, motivated by jealousy, revenge, or blackmail.
Or blackmail. That sounds like
Here's
a winner.
what's clear. Something the OUR board learned during its investigation led to a drastic action at an extremely bad time for Ballard. It was near the time Sound of Freedom was to be released. What's not clear, the accusations the board investigated and whether Ballard was forced out based on fact or only suspicion. Question, some of the alleged misconduct, if true, could have violated criminal law. Did the board report those suspicions to law enforcement for investigation?
And now, so it was founded by Tim. And I just find it really weird that he was, I mean, because I would have not known this had I not followed and listened to the videos put out here by Lynn Packer, who I respect to the nth degree, right? If all Mormons could be like him, we'd be good, you know? Just no matter what, you just calling out the bullshit. We'd be in a much better place. But I would have never known had he not put that out there that Tim was leaving, that Tim had left Operation Underground Railroad right before the Sound of Freedom was released. But they were doing that whole media, what do you call it? You know, where they're pumping it up. It's crazy. Yeah, I don't. And Donna told me last night, she was like, something big's brewing. She said the same thing that Macy said. I was like, oh God, brace for impact. I think, could it be the Senate thing? Or were they doing like some kind of, was the church doing some kind of, they know he's about to go public, you know? And so they wanted to go ahead and do a little housekeeping beforehand to sever ties, to try and smear him, but he's already graduated up with all the, basically what people are, I don't understand the terminology or the labels, but people call them the right wingers, you know, whatever. I just don't like corruption. It's stupid.
They're not saying. What's true? Ballard was accused of sexual wrongdoing. What remains unproven, whether the accusations are true or whether they are malicious and false. Of course, Ballard knew about allegations not disclosed to the public, which gave him time to launch a preemptive counterattack. He forecast lies are coming.
There you go, Donna. No, I'm joking. But do you see the preemptive? There it is. So that's, I think, what the church was doing, because something big's coming, right? And they're aware of it. They got the grand jury to drop the investigations into Tim because Ballard could very well allegedly really be connected to Tim and his financial backing. He's allegedly the silent partner, financial backing for slave stealers. I'm telling you, last night, Jason was like, it is soul trafficking. I was like, we sound more and more like Julie Rowe as we go. Except, you know, so Lord, I don't think I'm crazy, but I don't think she's crazy. I think she was really painted to be a crazy. So that's part of the character assassination. You see that, you hear it also in Chad and Lori's texts with one another, with their friends. Blaming everything on Julie Rowe, you know, because they're such the P words. They don't have a backbone, and they can't just take things for themselves or say things for them. They have to blame it on other people or dead grandmothers and stuff. You know.
Hey guys, it will never cease to amaze me how far the godless leftist media will go to run interference for human traffickers. They're throwing everything at me right now. It's not going to stop. Expect every lie. At this point, I have been accused of everything but murder.
Oh, well. We'll put a pin in that.
So I want you just to expect more to come, including probably that I've killed people.
Ballard also posted photos on
I didn't say
social
it.
media to shore up his image as a loving husband, good father, including a shot of him and his
She
wife
freaks me out.
Catherine and 9 children
Sorry, but she does.
in white clothing in front of an LDS temple.
Image.
On the next few slides, I'll pose questions that Ballard, OUR, and Angel Studios should answer, but won't.
And more. Yeah, they will
I'll
never.
give answers provided by sources with indirect knowledge. Are the sex allegations only recent? No. During a 3-year criminal investigation that concluded without charges, some witnesses who do not want to be identified became aware that others had accused Ballard of sexual misconduct, ranging from unwelcome propositions to consensual affairs.
And so this is where I have to interject, and I want to know if other people see the same like-minded pattern. I hate to keep coining, like labeling. I'm labeling these things because it's so apparent to me. But if you look at it like this, if you look at it like the church claims to handle your soul, right? Excuse me, allergies are really bad right now. They claim to be the middleman. They're the one way into the celestial kingdom, which is the top tier of Mormon. Okay, that's Mormon heaven, but the top tier of Mormon heaven. And all the while, nobody knows what happens after we die. So it's like they use that as leverage over people. They shame them, they guilt their members, they do every tactic in the book to manipulate them into paying them to actually do what? Nothing. Exploit them and traffic them. They're the exploiters, they're the traffickers. They are what's wrong with this. And so then Tim, in my opinion, this is how I see it. I think Tim, with all that is alleged to have happened with the fake or the staged sting operations and everything, it's all for show. It's not real. I don't see the fruits of these jumps, these whatever they call them, paramilitary jumps, where all these optics and just all these things. It's so out there. It's so extra that it's so see-through also, I'm just like, really? And people fall for this. And so it looks great, but you can't, once you get past that first layer, you peel that back and you're like, oh shit, that's the ugly part where it's not at all like what they're painting it to be. The church paints this image of themselves. But you peel the layer back and you're like, ooh, that's gross. And then you keep pulling layers back and then you're way over here on difficult research, scratching your head. But it's the same thing. It's like they create the problem. Tim creates the problem. Okay. Because it's happening right here under his nose in Utah, and so all these trafficking, all these, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. There are legit organizations out there. And I am against trafficking for sure. I'm not for Tim Ballard and I'm not for the church at all either. I'm anti-corruption. Do what you do. Just don't be doing some shady shit to other people. Anyways, I did run down.
It's my understanding that had there been any allegations of improper sexual conduct, they would have been disregarded by investigators as beyond the scope of the suspected illegal activity they were looking into. When contacted for confirmation or denial, Davis County Attorney Troy Rawlings declined comment.
And now Rawlings, okay, there's two Rawlings in Lori and Chad's case. Just know that. I just like to point things out. There's Troy Rawlings. I'm sorry. Spencer Rawlings No, that's Spencer Rammel. My bad. It's Tanya Rawlings. Anyways, kind of like Jason Mal's wife. Her name is Christy Wood. I just find that interesting because Rob Wood, I don't know if there's relation, but again, it's just one of those things.
Was a sexual harassment lawsuit once filed against Ballard? Again, what I know from indirect sources, a former OUR operative claims another female OUR employee filed a civil sexual misconduct lawsuit against Ballard, perhaps 3 years ago. The source provided no proof, no precise date, no case number, and no court where it may have been filed.
Probably, what's his face has handled it, Levitt. I'm just saying.
A search of court records failed to show any such lawsuit. But in some cases, lawsuits can be filed under seal or filed and quickly settled, then sealed.
Welcome to Idaho.
If true, Ballard and OUR may have covered up the lawsuit by requiring the employee to sign a non-disclosure agreement as part of a financial settlement.
That's the copy repeat. That's what you see. I don't know if that's in all major corporations or what, but I figured, when I've learned about the SA case or cases that were covered up, via the LDS helpline, I was like, I'll be damned. They are using those NDAs to silence victim. Money's not an object. They value it. That's the only thing they value, in my humble opinion. And for what? Why? I don't know. I could go on and on and on into the whole call out thing and how people think that they're going to show up. The church is going to just caca. And then these trucks are going to show up and then they're going to pick up all your food storage and everything. And then y'all are going to run off. And I don't even know what the point is, right? The church is so rich. They don't help people in the here and now. Why do they need your food? Why do they need your storage? What does that do for them? They're using you. And it's causing this hysteria. It's causing people to be like, oh my God, I got to do the tent and I got to have all this stuff. And you don't.
If any.
No little play.
Did Ballard recruit any female complainants to act as his wife on child rescue operations?
Right.
Two sources in contact with people who have direct knowledge say Ballard engaged more than one woman to act as his wife. Some lurid emails or text messages may have been exchanged between Ballard and one or more undercover wife. Ballard reportedly claims that any salacious chit-chat or any hand-holding was done only to preserve their cover.
Whatever. I remember my first
someone refer
caffeine drink.
Ballard's alleged indiscretions to his LDS church leaders? A source says he was told that one or more female complainants,
that's telling,
perhaps additionally a husband, advised Ballard's LDS church authorities of their allegations. It's believed that LDS leaders engaged an attorney to look into those accusations against Ballard. An LDS media affairs spokesman declined to confirm or deny.
That's so rich, right? It's right. Denicia makes a good statement here. And she said every legitimate child trafficking organization that actually works and helps victims is against OUR. That should tell you everything that you need to know on a basic level. You don't have to even have to invest your time or your energy into, just look around and just see what else is going on. It's just the perception, not the tunnel vision. You got to back up a little bit and broaden your horizons there. And it's eye-opening. Thank you for that, Denicia. I appreciate it. We do. All right, back over here.
From day one, Ballard has held himself out as a man of God.
Allegedly.
One example, a story published by the Mormon church-friendly publication LDS Living. Ballard talked about spiritual experiences that led to his decision to track down pedophiles as a government agent and later to found OUR. The article said, after fasting and praying with his wife, Catherine, the couple felt strongly that the answer was yes. Ballard and his wife went to the temple
Aw.
for guidance.
See you later a little
The
bit.
next morning, in what Ballard
Thank you.
describes
Yes.
as a spiritual download,
Come back with good
he
results.
received
You
a
hear me?
clear and undeniable answer.
We love you.
Find the lost children. I knew exactly what that meant, he said,
Right.
starting a private nonprofit organization.
Oh,
One
yeah,
article was even titled Called of God.
yeah.
But this particular story
I don't like
disparaged
that.
Ballard. Meg Conley, a writer and fellow
Straight me
LDS
out.
ward member, wrote Ballard told her he'd been called to this work by God. She was invited to document her experience acting as an operative, where, like Ballard, she would be fake arrested. But her article called
I
the
remember
op
that.
disturbingly amateurish. Ballard, on more than one
You should go.
occasion, has called Conley
Pick
a
me up.
hater and a liar and defended his calling.
Y'all,
She
who's
agrees to
everybody
come,
missing?
and she writes a story called "Called of God," and she says Tim Ballard told me he'd been called of God. So first of all, it's so not fair to say that. Like, it's painting me as like some wild.
Hold on. But then yesterday, when we were reading the Vice article, it said that Tim Ballard said that his not grandfather Ballard, M. Russell Ballard, the apostle, one of the president of the 12 apostles in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, he said that he called him for the mission. And so it's ever changing. And like Robbie says, it is mental gymnastics to just keep up with these people because they're just so, they believe their own lies. He didn't say all that part, but I did. And just note that I was like, well, there's a discrepancy in that, you know. Did God call you to do it? Or is it what we all think it is? And we know that it was M. Russell Ballard, allegedly. Wink, wink. Nod, nod.
My prophet, like, I'm called of God, and like as if I said that to her, right?
Sorry, I
it's
didn't
better
know
for
the
the story.
trooper
He told me he
warning.
was called of God. Okay, now I think everyone has callings, and I do think that I have followed, and my wife and I, as you and others, have followed inspiration. People of faith do that, and I do believe that this is the will of the Lord for me to do this and leave my job and do this. But right there, you know, she's going to try to make me look crazy. So.
Ballard exploited his
Thank
personal
you,
and
OPD
business
arrest
relationship
bombs.
with Mormon
Passengers would be
apostle
thank you,
Russell
no?
Ballard, a connection I reported on in great detail almost 3 years ago.
Yes, he did.
And just this month, Vice News broke the bombshell story that
You're
the
good,
LDS
Ed.
Church denounced
You
Tim
got out.
Ballard's conduct, as the story's headline shows. Mormon Church denounces Tim Ballard's morally unacceptable activities. The story was based on a press release provided by Doug Anderson, who heads the church's media relations department.
Oh, I'm glad he does his research like that. That's really
Key
good.
points from the press release. President Ballard and Tim Ballard, no relation, established a friendship a number of years ago.
A special one.
For many months, President Ballard has had no contact with the founder of Operation Underground Railroad.
Where's his pings?
President Ballard never authorized his name or the name of the church to be used for Tim's personal or financial interests.
This is where doublespeak comes in.
Once it became clear that Tim Ballard had betrayed their friendship through the unauthorized use of President Ballard's name for Tim Ballard's personal advantage.
What did he get?
An activity regarded as morally unacceptable, President Ballard withdrew his association.
What did
Tim
he
Ballard
get out of it?
in Boston was found.
And so the whole narrative thing too, with, you know, they're spinning it is what they're doing, and I hope people can see that. I mean, again, yes, just like I'm telling you the way I see it, and I hope I'm not alone in this, is that in order to see this as to who's really pulling the puppet strings, who really is the cult leader, is bigger than Chad and Lori. Chad's not a prophet. He was never going to start or build or a whole Church of the Firstborn church right there in little old Rexburg by his house. That is absolutely bizarre. That makes it's nonsensical, like my Uncle Charles used to say. And so why are they spinning it like this? They're trying to paint him crazy because people don't listen to crazy people, right? Just as they did with Lori when she was already arrested. Okay. She was already arrested in jail. She went into the psych ward, which, I mean, you just got to wonder if they're plants, people planted in places, or people so loyal to their church, their one true church that they believe in with all their heart, that they won't go and do these things for their leaders, to get brownie points, because it is a very competitive culture. And, they might get bumped up to the terrestrial kingdom or something for their afterlife. And so I don't ever think that she went crazy. I don't think she ever had a mental break. The bitch is still there because she was told by her prophets. She was told by her leaders. In my opinion, you can't convince me otherwise at this point. And I think they were like, it's like she was put in the psych ward, and set up to call Curtin McConkie, which is the LDS church. That's their go-to, right? Right-hand man. And she talked to not just, the operators at 1-800-LDS helpline. She talked to none other than Daniel McConkie, the top, one of the lead, McConkie. His last name is freaking McConkie, who called Rob Wood, the prosecuting attorney for the case, and Archibald, not Mark Means. Not Mark Means. Not Mark Means. Mark Means was also, smeared in this too, because he was calling the church to the mat, in my opinion. Corruption.
Reporters made a statement.
Were they afraid she was going to sing and say what really happened to her kids and why she did what she did? That's what I'm trying to I can't yell it loud enough, I can't. I just about burned myself. My bad.
Recorded on a smartphone.
By the way, if anybody wants to share this with any news outlet, do it.
Well, okay.
Share it. Something evil is going on. It's not true. Nothing here is true.
What?
President Ballard is like a grandfather to me.
He is your grandfather.
He came to me in, 2012.
Ooh, you better shut up.
And he told me that he appreciates all the things I'm doing and he wants to help me do it. Never in my life, never have I used his name to raise money. So this is breaking up my family like you can't believe. I don't believe the church did this. I truly don't.
Oh, Donna. Yeah, you're right.
Can you imagine that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints would publicly
Yes, I do. Oh, it's a hard
one of its
reality for you.
members? I have never used Elder Ballard's name, ever. I've never traded on his name to ask for anything. I've never had any business dealings with him.
As you just saw in the video, Tim
Ooh,
Ballard.
let's talk about that for a little bit. Holy shit. Okay, I'm just now new to the party, so I didn't see all that. Donna had said something about it.
Yeah, isn't that something? He acts like he really is shocked about it.
He is, because he's not used to he's the golden boy. He's been the golden boy, right? And they are going to, it's very rare that the church comes out and comments on anything. They usually leave that up to all their minions, we can say, all their followers, all the people that believe in the church. They did it all throughout Chad and Lori's. Okay, they never came out and publicly said a damn thing about either Lori and Chad or the victims, who were also members of their church, my family, right? So they just leave it out there they never just say, hey, stop this shit. Stop. Don't do this. If you follows Christ. That's so damn stupid. All they're basically saying when they say shit like that is, don't pay other people to do what we do for you. Just pay us, okay? That's exactly what I get from it. I'm just like, it doesn't make sense. It never has. So I don't follow the logic, is what I'm saying. It's the mental gymnastics. It's the mental gymnastics. They're smearing this man because he is no longer serving their purpose. Now it's Operation the Sound of Rejection. The sound of freedom turned into the sound of rejection. And this is a hard reality that Timmy Ballard here is having to learn. And we just saw it. I'm going to rewind that because I want to see that again. I won't talk this time. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Tim Ballard in Boston with some supporters made a statement recorded on a smartphone.
By the way, if anybody wants to share this with any news outlet, do it. Share it. Something evil is going on. It's not true. Nothing here is true. President Ballard is like a grandfather to me. He came to me in, 2012, and he told me that he appreciates all the things I'm doing and he wants to help me do it. Never in my life, never have I used his name to raise money. So this is breaking up my family like you can't believe. I don't believe the church did this. I truly don't. Can you imagine that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints would publicly condemn one of its members?
Yes, especially you.
I have never used Elder Ballard's name
I'm so angry.
ever. I've never traded on his name to ask for anything. I've never had any business dealings with him.
As you just saw in the video, Tim Ballard claims he never
He just threw a tantrum. He just straight up threw a tantrum, and we saw it right here. So DJ says, and I believe this, the church wanted the sex stuff covered up from their name, so pivoted to using Ballard's name, then leaked the real reason. Bada bing, bada boom. Psh. No mental gymnastics. Gentle gymnastics. This game. Yeah, so I get it though. Whatever. If that makes me, I've got a morbid sense of humor. So there we
I'm
go.
just saying, I can't. I mean, every time I see that, I get more like I can't believe it either. And he did use Ballard's name to gain money, and
Well,
he
it's
would
not his
like,
grandfather.
well, he'd be gone out on those things, and he would tell the people, "I'm going to call Brother Ballard and get him to pray for us to be able to go on and find this little boy." I mean,
Yes. Who they've never found, by the way. Can we just point that out?
poor
And
thing.
the same, y'all, there's some honky stuff going on with that. Just in Marty Gardy, that's such a weird, hard name to say. Marty Gardy. There was a temple built.
Oh,
I have
no.
my thoughts. If that kid was sacrificed. Yeah. And so the alleged dad of Marty Gardy, is like I guess, I don't know what the hell you call him over there in Haiti or wherever this was. I think it was Haiti. I don't know what it's called over in another country, but like the overseer of the temple over there. It's just, and no, I'm sorry. There's some funky shit going on. There's something evil going on, Jack's. Something very evil, and I will really try not to think this, but I always go back to it because it's my intuition. Something's going on in those temples. What it is, I don't know. I don't want to know. I don't want to ever go and personally find out. I think it has a lot to do with my family's case and why their deaths are so shrouded in secrecy, because we don't know what day they died on. Tylee was September 8th or 9th. JJ was September 22nd or 23rd. You just got to pick a date. Okay. And the ping information that came out, the GPS coordinates and everything, I am saying right now, I believe something happened in the temple, and that's where the crime scene would be. There, I said it out loud. And it's just, how do you go there? You know, how do you go there, especially in such a densely populated LDS region? That means there's other participants. People know about this from that community, Rexburg. They are okay with it. Anyways, I know I just probably blew y'all's mind, but just I don't have to do mental gymnastics whenever I just follow the evidence, you know? Kylie was dismembered. There should be a freaking crime scene, a gory one, at least with her, you know? It all makes sense.
Ever had any business dealings with Russell Ballard?
Oh, good.
It's another lie. As I said a few minutes ago, I reported in depth on their business dealings almost 3 years ago. The remainder of this video report goes into Ballard's foundational Called by God dog tag story.
Oh, yeah.
I touched on this topic a year ago, well before The Sound of Freedom came out. But now that it's in theaters, we know how the story is depicted in it. The dog tag necklace that a kidnapped girl gave her kidnapped brother is emphasized in the official trailer.
Timoteo, tú rescatas niños, ¿verdad? ¿Puedes ayudarme a encontrar mi hermana?
Te lo prometo. When God tells you what to do, you cannot hesitate.
The movie's main plot has Ballard rescuing a 7-year-old boy who was kidnapped along with his sister by brutal traffickers. When the boy asks Ballard to find his sister, he's gifted the dog tags, and Ballard discovers his life's mission, rescuing children from sex slavery.
I had an experience once with
This is ear pierced?
with a child. It's actually depicted in The Sound of Freedom, so it's a real scene where the child, I was seeing this child who I had already seen the videos of him being raped by the pedophile who's driving the van. And he gets stopped at the border and they get him out. I'm one of the first on the scenes. And at one point, he's 5 years old and he's being kidnapped from Mexico. The guy who's kidnapping him has a basically child porn studio in San Bernardino, California.
Such projectors, right?
And anyway, so I get this. He jumps into my arms. In fact, that's the scene you see here at NRB. Jim Caviezel holding. That's the actual scene from the movie where he jumps out of the van and I'm holding it. I'm just like, oh my gosh, holy crap! And then he tells me about his sister and his sister's being trafficked, and he gives me this necklace. This is a real story. And when you get Sound of Freedom, even in the trailer, Caviezel's always holding this necklace. The necklace is real. I actually told the producers to consider not telling the story because people won't believe it. But the little boy gave me a necklace. It was a necklace that was like a rosary, like a prayer to him. And the necklace had my name on it.
Wow.
It was because it had a little scripture, 1 Timothy 6:11.
Yeah.
The dog tag scenes are woven into the main plot.
So this is so true though with what Paul's. I totally agree with this because it's what happens. It's the stories. Look at Ruby Frankie's children. I mean, I know the little boy, blonde hair, blue eyes. Tim Ballard, blonde hair, blue eyes. They like the white and delightsome, right? They're pure. Anyways, Paul says they let Lori in the temple because she and her friends, she is well groomed with long blonde hair and blue eyes. That is literally why everyone who let her get away with the things, let her get away with the things. Yeah. And who else? Robbie. And so I talked to that investigator, the one that a couple Fridays ago, who's been he's a private investigator. He's from Florida. And anyways, he's been on, not working it like from a police angle, but he investigates the case, the Levitt, David Hamblin, that whole, who's all from South Utah. Chad is from Provo. He was born in Provo. He and Tammy raised their children in Springville. That is where Ruby is from. That's where she lived. And that is also where Jody is from. It's like, And it goes back to what DJ said, about the whole sleeper cell thing. Whatever, I don't understand it, but there's something going on. And my family are victims of that, of whatever the hell this is. That's why I always say they tie together. People are like, well, how do they tie together? I'm like, do we need to name all the things? It's just, you watch this whole network of people and their comings and goings and their associations, and the birds of a feather flock together, and what they say and what they do. And it all goes hand, it all ties in together, in my opinion. It all goes back to even what Melanie Boudreaux said about Brandon, and I'm not throwing shade on Brandon. I'm just saying, there's not all lies in what they're saying. They do say that what really is happening in their minds, and then being gaslighted, and they're being tossed to the curb because they don't know how to shut their mouths. Okay. And the church doesn't know how to not be toxic and secretive and cause this rift, Oh, wow. 10,000 murders since 1968 and going, right? So yeah, a smidge of truth, right? But like when Melanie Boudreaux said that, I mean, there was the defamation case that Brandon won because her attorneys were repeating what Melanie told them about I don't have it in front of me, but something about his family being involved in kidnappings and trafficking and drugs and SA. And so when you think about, and so then it brings me to Melanie Boudreaux. I'd heard this a long time ago. Don't even know where. I just picked it up. I'm repeating it because I heard it somewhere. I didn't just make it up. And so I want to know where. But I was told that, Melanie Boudreaux was involved in Operation Underground Railroad with Tim Ballard. So that would have to be Brandon was also maybe involved with Tim Ballard. Friends, associate, whatever, they network. It's what they do. And so it just makes me wonder, like, how the truth is mixed in with the lies, and what can be corroborated, what can be ruled out, just because the truth matters. The truth. I'm not here to throw shade on anybody, especially not Brandon. However, it is what it is. It just is what it is. Can't nobody fix that. And they all recommend each other. Yes. I know you kind of, after we got off last night, I was like, oh yeah, but loaded and coded. It's freaky. But then, so that's why I always say, what about the rest of them? Just like with Ervil LeBaron, he was in prison, then he died in prison. Wink, wink. And just like Ervil LeBaron, I don't believe ran off and started his own day. Well, yeah, kind of. He kind of did, because his dad ran off or whatever, was exed from the church because they were practicing the true doctrine of the church, which is the polygamy. And whenever the LDS church is trying to present itself like it's disavow those doctrines, but that doesn't mean they don't still practice it. You know what I'm saying? So they do it more just like, shh, we are going to bleed the beast. We want to become a part of this United States of America. And when they were finally allowed to, of course they had to disavow the practice of polygamy, but they didn't. They were doing this behind their back. They were like, yeah, we did. Yeah, we sure did. And here we are. And Chad and Lori, in my opinion, are a result of this hanky-janky practice of polygamy in today's time. Mark my words. And it's going to come out. It has. I mean, I'm just trying to put it together in a sensical, kind of understanding way. It's just hard. I'm not from this culture at all. This is culture shock. This is Mormonology 101. So it worries me about the rest of them, because Chad and Lori are locked up and Alex is dead. Okay. That does not bring me comfort. Okay. Because as I've learned, And as we've all learned, it's much bigger than just Chad and Lori. Who's to say that they're not going to go after my mom, loaded and coded? Who's to say? Yeah, but that's interesting. That is so interesting to me. It's so interesting to me, and that's the only ones that cannot be recorded in a jail or prison, environment, setting or whatever, is clergy and lawyers. Who's to say what clergy's going in there? What are they talking about? What are they telling her to do and say? What are they telling her about the rest, the church? Yeah, it's okay, Sister Lori. They will stop at nothing to save their asses, the shit that they cause. They go into like overtime and they're like, and they do it, and they damn do it. And I mean, we've watched it so many times. And it's just like, what the hell? It's crazy. I've heard this though. I've heard that there's a bishop. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. I have no way of knowing that. But how could we? Okay, and would they even tell the truth? I'm at that point. It's just they're gonna tell you whatever they're gonna tell you. That's just it. I mean, what case was it? I want to say Adam Steed said this on Mormon Stories podcast. If not, it'll come out as a talk about it. But there was a whole list of victims names from the Boy Scouts of America, and this is in Idaho, because Adam Steed was a whistleblower for the Boy Scouts of America, and he named the names. I don't remember their names, but of the perps, right? And so this whole list went missing from the courthouse, or records, wherever the records are kept. And so it stopped, it obstructed, which is very, very prevalent. Okay. Just know. It's so beneficial to those it protects. But anyways, it stopped other members from being able to loop because it's a loophole. You have to like dance around all these laws and everything that are so ridiculous, especially in Idaho, right? What if she isn't in prison? She better be. Oh yeah. The movie, I will watch this. Thank you, Allison. Yes, Rhonda, you said it best. And so this is, if you're a believer in God, this is how Satan works. Okay. So I know this is not going to be for atheists, but just please. How it works is Satan, he cannot do the things that God does, but he does his best or to mock it, to fool people and trick people into not worshiping God and worshiping Satan. And this is, in my opinion, everything I've read, every research I've covered, and I've done nothing but reading and looking for the past 4 years. Everything leads people to believe in either a false God, a false Christ, or when they leave the church, they usually become atheists and become non-believers, period, because they've been so burned. And everything's up is down, down is up, in is out, out is in, black is white, white is black. It's so distorted. In Jody's words, it's distorted. So this is how master deceiver Satan tricks people, whatever, deceives them. Core horse. And it's so wicked. It is so wicked. Good comment. I know. It is sad. It is very sad. And I mean, I don't care about their church. I don't care about anybody's church. I mean, it's not going to save you. Only you can, only we can. And if you don't believe in God, then okay, it's just the same kind of sentiment, it's just do good, be good. Just don't be an egotistical a-hole, you know. Treat others as you want to be treated. It's very simple. And God is not complicated. Okay? Chaos equals the master deceiver here, and it's nuts. Soul harvesting, right?
After rescuing a boy from ruthless child traffickers, a federal agent learns the boy's sister is still captive and decides to embark on a dangerous mission to save her. With time running out, he quits his job and journeys deep in the Colombian jungle, putting his life on the line to free her from a fate worse than death. Operation Underground Railroad put out a statement just before the movie's release admitting the girl's rescue did not happen. But the necklace story did happen in real life.
Yeah.
And the announcement said, although the boy's sister is a person in real life, the story of Tim refusing to give up the search to find the one, as depicted in the film, is based on the true story of OUR's continual search for Gardy. Those attempts occurred in other missions. But it goes on to say, towards the end of Sound of Freedom, it shows Tim kill a man to rescue a child. This did not happen. But OUR says the necklace story is real and did happen. In the film, after Tim rescues the boy, he gifts him a dog tag type necklace with Timoteo written on it. True to the real story, the little boy's sister had given her brother this necklace in the movie before they were separated.
And I mean, I love hearing like what Carrie says right here, she just went with her gut. And that's good, and people who do get excommunicated and the whatever word they want to come up with for whatever they want to label things. It gets too much to keep up with. And it's the people who have to keep changing their words and their definitions for things. That's another trick. It's a mind effery. A mind yeah, I don't want to say it, but it is. And so that's exactly what Jody did. And Jody is only doing what she has learned from the big boys, from the upper management, I do. And look, I'm just of the opinion that she got her priesthood. I'm just saying she's very manly, and that's how she acts, right? And so she hates men. She hates men, and it's very apparent. And she's very mad at the religion who doesn't allow her to be free and be with whom she wants to be with. So she takes it out passive aggressively and even physically, allegedly, on her victims. And this is a repeat cycle. And it is generational. But the only thing that's the common denominator in all these things and all these people is what? Source, church. I mean, that was my first, I remember thinking like, oh, how do I see this? I'm looking into Lori's background, her upbringing with her family. And then I'm like, and so, but they went to church, and so, you have your sports, you have your activities, dance, whatever. You go to school, you have your school friends and things like that. Those are influences, right? And where you live and all those factors, right? And then I was like, well, what about Chad? And I was like, well, I did the same kind of thing. And then I was like, and then his parents went to church. They weren't, according to him, they weren't like big church goers, but I want to understand their definition of hardcore or not hardcore church going, like what's their, that's a lot of this, you have to learn what everything looks different to everybody. You know, not everybody sees mainstream. I don't look at it the same way that a lot of people do, because that's where I was like, oh, okay. And then, this is not mainstream to me. And so the one thing that they have in common is the church. It is the common denominator. And it also is with all their friends. And I mean, it's just crazy how it brings you don't have to go far. The truth is right there. It's right there in plain sight. Trust me, it's in plain sight. That's the boldness of it. That's the boldness of their evil. They do it right in front of your face. And this comes from the church who has inverted pentagrams on their temple. Mind you, Tim Ballard has a video out, and so does what's her face? Oh hell. The Joseph Smith Foundation girl. Anyways, she did a video. They both have done videos on, no, they're not inverted. They go into lavish detail of how it's not an inverted pentagram. And you're just like, what? It makes no sense. No sense. To justify the means. Yeah, you know, it's nuts. The mental gymnastics is real. But I'm glad you followed your gut too, girl. You grow, girl. Okay, let me go back over there. We won't do this much longer, but
a few days later, and a day after the movie was released, Angel Studios issued a disclaimer. There's a scene towards the end where Tim is shown killing a man to rescue a child. This depiction does not reflect reality.
He said
While
it might be a
Miguel's
murder.
sister is a real person and was rescued only 24 hours after her little brother was found, in the movie, after Tim Ballard rescues Miguel, the young boy presents him with a dog tag necklace inscribed with the name Timoteo. This scene is true to the real story, as Miguel's sister had given him the necklace in the movie before they were separated. This caution for Sound of Freedom fans: there is no factual support for Ballard's dog tag story.
And
one both OUR.
This doesn't, I don't really care about this part of it because, I know he's going thorough. He's very thorough. I appreciate his thoroughism. But, I'm just like, well, the argument can be made that it is a movie, and it's not going to reflect everything that Tim has purported, right? I'm just saying. So I'm not like literally, but it also shows the character and what extent people will go to to fool other people, there are people who will cut you if you talk negatively about Tim Ballard. It's funny. It's tribalism, big time.
And Angel Studios say is true, even after admitting the girl's rescue as a sex slave from a Colombian drug lord is complete fiction. Furthermore, the movie left out the even more transformational and more spiritual part of Ballard's dog tag story, when he tells again and again, which also has no factual support.
That is true.
Neither OUR nor Angel Studios did any fact checking. I'll do it for them. No charge. We'll first back up in time, and I'll set the stage.
I love his dry humor.
In one of many versions of Ballard's necklace story, he describes what happened leading up to his life and career-changing incident that was sort of a miracle. Here's a 2.5-minute excerpt from the speech.
Principal, I want to take you back to July 3rd, 2006. I was a special agent with the U.S. government at that time, and I was on the border, and I had this life-altering case. So the footage you're going to see here is real footage, by the way. What had happened was an American man named Earl Buchanan was kidnapping children in Mexico and bringing them across the border, bringing them to his home in San Bernardino, California, where he would make child pornography, child rape videos of these children. And on July 3rd, I got this call because we had intelligence that he was coming across the border with a 5-year-old boy who he had been abusing since he was a baby. And this was a little boy that I knew from the images, from videos I had seen. And when I saw this little boy, it broke my heart. We interviewed him. We ended up on July 4th, the next day. It was not lost on us at Independence Day. We raided this guy's compound and found 12 other children who he had been doing this to. Now, when I came home from that case, I was gone for 2 or 3 days, no sleep. I'm driving home, and I'm ready to quit. I'd been doing this for a few years, and I thought this was the first time I'd seen a child from the videos that we were analyzing, and I was done. And I was playing this kind of mental game with myself. I was driving down Highway 8. I lived in the little border town of El Centro, California.
That's mental gymnastics.
And there's 2 off-ramps. And the first off-ramp is 4th Street, which goes to the aftercare home where this little boy was recuperating. We had found his sister, by the way. She had also been being abused in this guy's compound up in San Bernardino.
Nothing gets past language.
And if I got off on 4th Street, which I was supposed to do to go check in with the little boy and see how he was doing, then this mental game I was playing with myself, that meant I was going to stay in this fight. I was going to continue in this. If I skipped 4th Street and went to Dogwood exit, I was going home. Again, small town, 2 exits.
I have
the
another
next exit,
for
Dogwood
this.
is my home.
We can compare.
And if I chose that, that meant I was quitting. I was going to turn my badge in and do something else with my life.
Yeah.
And as I was driving, I was thinking, I'm going to go to Dogwood exit. I can't do this anymore. I can't handle this. But something happened, and I ended up almost something beyond my will, and I turned onto 4th Street.
Ballard had made a lot of false statements leading up to talking about the dog tag incident. Earl Buchanan had not kidnapped children in Mexico.
It was California.
Homeland Security investigators did not have intelligence that Buchanan was coming across the border. Ballard had not seen video of the boy prior to the suspect's detainment. Buchanan's house near San Bernardino was searched the next day with a warrant, not raided. Neither the boy's sister nor 11 other children were rescued at the house.
And so there you go.
What happened after law enforcement agents searched Earl Buchanan's house on that 4th of July holiday, 2006, OUR's website says God intervened as Ballard neared the very end of his 160-mile drive from San Bernardino back to his El Centro hometown. OUR says, after being on the clock for a hard 48 hours, Tim was finally driving back to his little town in El Centro. His eyes were welling up with tears. The intensity and traumatic nature of his work inundated his mind and heart. The weight of children's lives.
Oh my God.
The tremendous darkness.
Horrible.
Deep disgust for the sadness he constantly witnessed, crushing down on him till he was drowning in thoughts and emotions. Then, surfacing through his tears, he saw swiftly approaching the highway exit for Dogwood Road, the path to his home. Ballard faced a life-altering decision: take the Dogwood exit and go home, or take the 4th Street exit to a shelter and interview the boy. Ballard said,
I have a video.
Something happened to my hand. Something willed my hand to turn off onto 4th Street. The McNeese shelter home is off the 4th Street exit. Ballard calls it an aftercare facility, does not call it by its name, McNeese. The home is for the temporary care for, among others, child victims of sex abuse.
Boy, he is a
Ballard said, I went and got the kid. That was the transformative moment.
That freaks me out.
And then the dog tag story.
I went and got the kid, and then I had this, that was the transformative moment. I went to that little boy, and I sat in a room with him with some toys, and I was just talking to him. He seemed happy. He knew that we were the good guys.
Why?
And right in the middle of the meeting of him, he was just coloring, happy. He just starts sobbing. He jumps off his seat. He comes running over to me, jumps into my arms, and he's just holding me, and he's shaking, and I'm shaking, and we're both crying. Then he gives me this dog tag that his sister had given him, and I didn't know what it was. And I tried to give it back, and he made me take it. So I took the dog tag home, and I looked at it like a nickel and dime thing. I don't know what it is. And I go home, and I'm still at this point of like, it's do or die. I'm all in or all out. And that whole experience with that kid just killed me. I walked into my house. I literally, my wife can tell you this. I walked in and I saw my children. I had about 4 or 5 at the time, and they were happily running around, and the whole dichotomy of like, wait, how can you be happy when this little boy is just down the street? And it's like this underbelly that we don't see. It's happening right in front of us.
Yeah, and you're going overseas.
The whole thing was too much. And I literally, the only time in my life, my knees bumped
You just
in front
do
of
this.
us. And the whole thing was too much.
Yes,
And I
you
literally,
did.
the only time it's happening right in front of us. And the whole thing was too much. And I literally, the only time in my life, my knees buckled. I half passed out, but I woke up on the ground. Thank you. And then here's the miracles I talk about, where God then, he gives you what I call tender mercy sometimes. He'll give you a little token on the path. Like, you did the right thing.
Temple talk.
The dog tag necklace. Okay, my son is in the room because he's like, what's up with dad? What's going on? My son picks, he's the same age, maybe 5, 6 years old, but the same age as this little boy. And he's like, Dad, where'd you get this? And I'm like, oh, a little boy just gave it to me that we helped. He said, that's cool. How do you know your name? Like, you put your name on the necklace. I said, no, my name's not on the necklace. You know, it's his necklace. And,
I don't have
No, your name's on it. I'm like, what are you talking about? So I look at the necklace, and it's actually a scripture.
Right.
It says
Right.
man of God.
No.
And on the other side, it has all the attributes. It's a scriptural reference from the book of 1 Timothy.
Which
Ballard tells at least three versions of the story. The boy gives Ballard the necklace at the border on July 3rd, and Ballard sees his name on it. The boy gives Ballard the necklace at the shelter. Then Ballard takes it home, and that same day, July 4th, Ballard's son points out the name on the necklace. Ballard takes the necklace home, where it sits for several weeks until his son comes across it and tells his dad his name is on it. The timeline of Ballard's narrative does not add up. There is no record of Ballard or anyone interviewing the boy at the shelter on that July 4th holiday, when Ballard says he had been awake almost 2 days and was returning to El Centro after a 2.5-hour drive from San Bernardino. There is a record of the boy being interviewed at the shelter the next day, on July 5th, an interview conducted by an assigned caseworker. It's possible Ballard was present to observe. The interview was video recorded and would have shown whether the boy jumped into Ballard's arms and gave him a necklace. In addition, the boy wasn't even in El Centro on July 4th. I'll show you this map. Here's the border between the United States and Mexico. Buchanan was arrested at the Calexico border crossing on July 3rd. He was taken to a jail in El Centro right next to the border. The boy, however, was taken to a San Diego hospital for a medical examination. That's where he was on July 4th, the day Ballard insists he interviewed him in El Centro. A search warrant was, in fact, executed on Buchanan's home near San Bernardino on the holiday, July 4th. The child victim was returned to El Centro on July 5th, the day records show he was interviewed forensically. The boy's sister, all this time, was in Banning, California, not being held captive in either a Colombian jungle or at Buchanan's home near San Bernardino. I interviewed Paula Lanas, who's now director of Imperial County Social Services. In 2006, she was a caseworker at the shelter. She knew Ballard and said he's very credible, but she would not say whether she was the caseworker who interviewed the boy with Ballard present, and would not confirm his necklace story. She and the social services attorney said they were protecting the boy's privacy, despite the fact his actual name is in court records. The fact Ballard has been detailing the case publicly for years. Now the boy's story is even in the movie being shown worldwide. What privacy? Ballard's Homeland Security partner in 2006, Michael Harvey, was at the Calexico crossing during the 2018 filming of Sound of Freedom and is seen in photos with Jim Caviezel and a boy actor stand-in. He could have been at the boy's July 5th interview, but even if not, would have known about any dog tag incident. Harvey will not comment.
Shocker.
Ballard began telling his Buchanan story, leaving out the dog tag part, in 2008 while still a Homeland Security agent in El Centro. He spoke in firesides to Mormon youth.
Here we
A
go.
missionary
Fireside.
who was assigned there recalls the talks. The former missionary told me Ballard portrayed Buchanan as a family friend, not a kidnapper. The talk centered on grooming danger, not kidnapping peril. Ballard showed how a predator using the internet and social media could
Wow.
find a kid's home address in 15 minutes, then begin a grooming process.
You only know if you do it.
The boy in Ballard's story wanted to be with Buchanan. There's no mention of him jumping into Ballard's arms. There was no second child, no sister in the story back then. The missionary wondered if the child had kind of Stockholm syndrome, where victims develop sympathies for their abusers. The missionary also wondered how Ballard slept at night because of his job posing as a child on the internet, trying to lure pedophiles while sifting through child pornography on a daily basis. If accurate, Ballard has changed the story dramatically to fit his concept
to fit his
for a
narrative. That's
movie
what they
or
do.
television series about rescuing kidnapped child sex slaves. Utah's leading daily newspaper, the Salt Lake Tribune, remained silent during the 3 years the federal grand jury investigated Tim Ballard and Operation Underground Railroad. The paper's reporters made no attempt to verify stories Ballard had been telling since OUR was incorporated in late 2013. Then suddenly, on July 25th this year, 3 weeks after The Sound of Freedom premiered, this headline sat atop a column by veteran Tribune journalist Robert Gerke. It said, Tim Ballard's story in The Sound of Freedom seems too good to be true because it isn't true. Wow. Because Gerke is now a columnist, he's free to state his opinion without violating journalism norms. Gerke based some of his report on a video I published a year ago. Gerke first set up his column reporting that U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, had gathered intel.
Here we go.
This man was kidnapping children in Mexico and transporting them across the border for the sex trade. An operation was set up and Ballard recognized the boy who allegedly been kidnapped as an infant from a video he had seen. Stopped Buchanan and he was arrested. But wait, Gerke said, there's more.
Oh,
the boy leapt into Ballard's arms and held him tight. Then the boy gave Ballard a dog tag with a Bible verse on it and asked Ballard to go find his sister, who also had been kidnapped. Gerke wrote, Ballard takes the kid out for burgers. No, really. Over burgers and ice cream, the kid tells Ballard about how he and his sister were kidnapped and gives Ballard the medallion. For some reason, in the movie, it's no longer a dog tag, and begs him to find his sister, which, of course, Ballard swears he will do. Based on his analysis of court records, Gerke wrote, Ballard did not interview the boy, instead referred him to Imperial County Child Protective Services in accordance with agency policy. About the boy's sister, she was at home with her grandmother from the start and answered the phone when officers called the house. There is no mention in any of the court documents that there was a raid that recovered her and 11 other kids, as Ballard claims. Ballard's and Angel Studios spokesman Matt Faraci wanted the Tribune to retract the story.
Just kidding.
Who is Faraci? He's a seasoned Hollywood publicity man who works for Angel Studios and now also Tim Ballard. He attends many Sound of Freedom promotional events, such as the screening held by former President Donald Trump. He had a front row seat. There's Trump, Tim Ballard, movie producer Eduardo Verastegui, movie star Jim Caviezel, and Faraci. He emailed Gerke saying, the Tribune's report has so many inaccuracies that it is not salvageable, and he pointed them out.
I need a
Gerke was not persuaded.
Because
in an attempt to convince the Tribune.
Well, okay. I want to show y'all something that I was working on, but here it is. Share this one. See that? I use the duct tape.
That's very good.
Stop abusing our children. I don't want to put Ruby's kid on there. He's exploited.
Enough already.
I mean, and I mean, I feel bad for putting Jesse on there, but it's like to make a statement. Just stop your bullshit, assholes. Like, and there's our little wabbit. Anyways, yeah. I'm sorry. Just wanted to show you all that.
That's good.
I'm looking for it. I'm looking. Okay.
To retract.
Yeah, we're almost
Faraci
done.
arranged a Zoom interview with Ballard and himself. Was likely an attempt made out of desperation, an attempt that could backfire, which it did. Gerke confronted them with a list of Ballard's past, arguably false
Yeah, I
statements.
agree.
We raided this guy's compound
A
and
hard
found
reset.
12 other children who he had been doing this to. His sister actually was one of the girls, the other kids, one of the 12 that
They
we
could just prey on
rescued
each other,
up in
huh?
San
Thomas Macy.
Bernardino. Almost a dozen other children, many undocumented migrant children, were rescued and liberated. And then that led to raiding the compound, and we found 11 other kids. This is just different examples of the statements. We had found his sister, by the way. She had also been abused at this guy's compound up in San Bernardino. Ballard waffled. Gerke wrote, Ballard told me the children weren't physically at the home, but were brought to that compound every weekend to be raped. He admits no rescue took place there. But then Ballard says, to try and say the kids weren't really rescued from this monster because they weren't held physically captive is disgraceful. So if reporters don't believe his rescue lie, they're the disgrace, not him.
He smears them.
Ballard told me that he called the boy's grandmother, their legal guardian, the day after the traffic stop. The sister answered the phone. He said he tried to talk to the grandmother, but she was kind of senile. It was obvious she was being manipulated by the
And why he's doing this or whatever
So
the
he
hell he
admits he
did.
knew where the girl was on July 3rd at home and has lied about it.
Be good or be good at it,
Gerke.
DJ.
It's worth noting that as Ballard
Glad to have
now
you.
tells it, the boy gave Ballard the dog tag and asked him to find his sister 2 days after Ballard now says he had spoken with her on the phone. It's actually 1 day, but it's the same thing. You might recall that Gerke's headline that said, Tim Ballard says court docs in case central to Sound of Freedom plot are wrong. Gerke wrote, he disputed the account, saying the court records are wrong in some instances, and the version he tells is right. I can't control all the details, Ballard told him, that end up making it into court documents. But I can tell you that me and another ICE special agent absolutely did interview the little boy, at least 2 separate times, taking him to McDonald's and then Denny's. Instead of Gerke retracting, he doubled down. He wrote, I think that when the average person hears that police raided a home and rescued or found or liberated children, there is a reasonable understanding of what those words mean. I tend to believe
Welcome and
sworn
sorry.
court documents over versions of events
Thank you
told
for being
years
here.
later. After the interview backfired, Ballard could not leave well enough alone. He published a podcast on YouTube referring to anyone who
sleeps in
reported
sandals.
unfavorably as haters. He devoted a section to Robert Gerke.
This would never be in a court document.
No.
There's no reason. There's a scene where the kid, the true scene, he runs to me. He's crying. He's hugging. We're both sobbing in each other's arms.
If it
The
they don't camera, I don't
aftercare
believe
workers
it.
are crying like, what's going on? And he says, I don't belong here. And I'm sobbing. And then he gives me this necklace.
It's because you were.
This is my sister gave this to me. Will you help me? We got to get her and others out of this guy. And the dog tag story and the hug scene are real. Also, there's some court
Did the
document that
happening
indicates that the kid was
happen?
interviewed once. What that means is he was forensically interviewed once. A child will only be forensically interviewed once if they're doing their job right. That means that's when they get the kid to say all the gross details, all the horrific things that happened to them. And experts do that. I'm not a forensic interviewer. I didn't attempt to do that. However, I interviewed him at least 3 times. Not about
Please
that,
leave me,
but about
please.
where he came from, why he was with this guy, who this
I'm
man
with-
is
I'm
to
with
him,
Larry.
who's
Mhm.
you know, where's his sister? What other kids are hanging out with this guy?
Oh, yeah.
I took and he mocks me and he says, then Ballard takes the kid out for burgers. No, really, like being sarcastic. Like, of course he didn't.
We couldn't tell.
Yeah, well, I did. Okay. I took a little kid out for burgers to try to get to the bottom of it and save other kids.
During the Tribune's
He
Zoom
bugs
interview,
me.
Ballard said he
He
took
just-
the
I don't
boy
like
out for burgers twice. In his Hater podcast, he ups that to at least 3 times. In any event, taking a child from a shelter where it's under the protection of the
No,
state
no.
and family services attorney violates protocol.
Yeah, buddy.
Besides, attorneys
the law.
prosecuting Buchanan
They're
told
above the law.
Buchanan's defense attorney Ballard did not interview the boy at all, not once.
There you
So
go.
was Ballard lying to prosecutors then, or is he
Yes.
lying to the public now?
Jenny, yes.
Tim Ballard has never put forth a single witness or
Freaking liar.
document that would verify any of his dog tag story. Ballard has said the Sound of Freedom storyline is 85% true.
Kidnapping.
The
Correct.
film's co-writer director Alejandro Monteverdi
These people,
dials back the truth meter a bit.
they need to look at
He
into.
said, I would dare say that 75% of the film is as accurate as it happened in real life. Angel Studios and OUR already admitted that the main climatic part of the plot, the rescue of a kidnapped girl, did not happen. Yet both stood by the necklace yarn that kicks off and ends the plot as having happened. But the facts show that did not
above
happen,
the law.
which means the
Straight up.
movie's main plot is no more than 5% true. That's
Still.
the end. Thanks for watching.
Well,
For questions and comments, you can email at
Len.
lpacker636@gmail.com.
And that's the end of today's presentation. Thank you, Lynn. But really, he's thorough.
Wow.
I would never want to piss him off. Because I mean, oh, I actually have a book. You know, when I went, well, Mary knows because all the books are at her house. And I went to DI, which is Deseret Industries, right? I remember when Mom, when we were in Boise, she was like, come on, let's go to DI. I was like, I'm not spending my money there. And not. And I did. I spent a lot of money there because the books. Oh my God, the books. There's so many old, you know, they can't go and delete those. They can't wipe your bookshelf. They can, but you know, it's easier to wipe the internet clean. They're really good at that. But so you can't go back on things. And anyways, so like this, I have the Mortal Messiah. Look at all my tabs in that sucker. You know, and this is written by Bruce R. McConkie. And actually, when I ran across that list the other day, when I was looking in Visions of Glory, and there was a sentence that I found, and I was like, what's a Moronhi Moriankumer, whatever event or whatever experience, because that's what Tom Harrison said. He was like, it was a Mahonri. It's a weird word name. Mahonri Moriankumer experience. So I looked it up, and it is a calling and election made sure, which is code for you can see Jesus in the temple in the flesh too, if you do this. But anyways, and so on Chad has a list I found the other day in which was on his website that I'd never seen before. And he's got, you know, just like every other priesthood holder in his God-forsaken church does, Chad look, I can't stand Chad and I can't stand Lori. I cannot stand that they're living and breathing the same air. They don't deserve it. But I'll be damned if I'm going to just go with the narrative that's out there because people feel comfortable with it, or people are just don't know. People just don't know because they are depending on what others are saying, you know, until you do your own research, until you really know for yourself. You know, he's not a cult leader. That I would pin it on him faster than a cat can lick its ass. You know, why would I be saying no? Why wouldn't I just go with the narrative out there? Because it's not telling the stories of the victims who are my family members. 3 out of the 5 are my family members, and the truth of their stories need to be out. That's their story. So when everybody goes along with all these other narratives, it just poo-poos on their stories. It does not. That's the justice. That's how I see their justice, because they cannot come back. Well, anyways, Bruce R. McConkie. And so I have one that, all that to say, all that to say that Lynn Packer rode Paul Dunn. He was an apostle or something. I don't know. I'll mess it up, but I think he was an apostle, and he proved all the ways he lied. He was a liar, And so I have one of Paul Dunn's books signed. I was like, oh shit, I'm glad I didn't go highlighting in this thing, even though I really don't care. Right. I'm just saying. It's just kind of weird. But I wouldn't want to get on Lynn Packer's shit list ever, because he's thorough. He will find out. I appreciate his journalism. I really do. Hey, Valerie. Looking outside the box, right? And I don't think that's against the law. If people have to label me as whatever because it doesn't make them feel comfortable, whatever. I've been called so many things, and I got a lot of living to do, right? So it is what it is. I just want the truth. God forbid, that be told, because yeah, it's against the religion. Oh, good night, Denicia. At 5:15 comes early. Me and Jason are going to Houston in the morning for his mouth consultation. So hustle and bustle of H-Town there. So we'll be heading westbound I-10. Anyways, tomorrow morning, and we'll be there all day. So I appreciate you and you scheduled everything. I was like, oh my God, because I slept my ass off today. And since last night. And so I appreciate you doing this. It was, again, I saw the time, and so I was just taking my time, getting ready, and then I was like, let me go look. And so I was like, oh shit, I'm coming. I'm on my way. He's trying, Valerie. That's when I'm not kicking his butt. I'm just kidding. There's none of that. Yes. If you keep beaming love, it is bound to reach him. At Allison. Allison, yes. You seem to have experienced a lot of trauma, and it's very normal. Just know that you're not alone. But I'm gonna go back and read the comments, and I'll be able to respond to you there. I appreciate every one of you being here. And again, Donna and Trace on the case, Beach Bum, Mary, Detective's daughter, the mod squad. Appreciate y'all being here. And so till next time, just keep going down that. Let's just keep going down this bizarre religious rabbit hole that we seem to be in. It's crazy. So it is what it is. But I appreciate you, Donna. Are you there? Are you talking? Are you muted?
I'm muted, and I was afraid I would snore. So
you sleeping, girl? Wake your ass
No,
up.
I'm not sleeping, but I thought I was going to go sleep. Very
Oh,
good. It's very good. And I had forgotten or didn't know about Jason, so I had said we would do a live tomorrow after.
Oh shit! Yeah.
No, that's okay. I was going to say we can do that anyway. Just come on, and you'll be on the road. Yeah, you can jump on with your phone, and we can. And I sure hope they don't let Ruby out of jail.
If so, she bets go find a cavity of a rock that they all seem to find and hide in. She might want to go there, or there might be a lynch mob, but probably. I would just, oh my God. Anyways, yeah, she's doing her little prayers. tonight. Did y'all see what Tim did that? That was it was very odd.
A
Anyway,
lot. He did it several times.
right? I have a video, where he does like this. So, and it's just interesting. I'm not saying. I see those kind of things, and it's
There
just
will be more to find out about Tim, I'm sure.
oh yeah, it's coming. Everybody brace yourself. But anyways, we'll
Yep.
see you guys tomorrow morning or tomorrow.
All right.
Yeah. Love you
Good
guys.
night.
Justice for Tylee, Charles, Tammy, JJ, and Joe, and Ruby and Jody's victims. There you go. Love always wins. You guys are proof of this. Bye.